Happy Chinese New Year!
恭喜发财，
恭喜发财，
新年快乐！
新年快樂。
陳先生，我哋需要嘅係服從命令，係效忠。
我效忠世界和平。
Hi, welcome to the Silver Spleen. My name is Dildo Wong.
My name is Plastic Wang.
And this is our review of Agent Mr. Chan. Why are we in such a good mood? Well, because it's Chinese New Year, and Chinese New Year means, well, it means more than one thing, but for us, it means Chinese New Year movies. And the great thing about Chinese New Year movies is they're ridiculous. And that might not always be a great thing, but in this case it is, because during Chinese New Year I can watch a ridiculous movie and I don't think it's ridiculous, I just find it enjoyable. And I think that's definitely the case with Agent Mr. Chan. But first, let me just say right up front, the reason you may be asking why we're doing another tag team review is because we're actually both in this movie. So be sure to watch the ancillary content, Memories of Making Movies, Agent Mr. Chan, coming to a YouTube channel near you soon. So
Maybe I'll go real briefly into the background of the actors. Data Wong.
Don't confuse the camera.
Charmin Xie.
No, I'm serious, keep your hand down, because that's gonna...
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So, it's Data Wong, Charmin...
Dildo
Wong.
I'm Dildo Wong, goddammit.
Sorry.
I'm Dildo Wong, goddammit.
Sorry. Data Wong, Charmin Xie,
Yeah.
the guy from Fama, what's his name? Sequan.
The short one.
The
short, fat one.
The even uglier one.
Wow.
Sequan and some other people.
And a zillion other people doing cameos, because that's what Chinese New Year movies do.
And so it is basically shameless James Bond kind of parody.
Yeah.
/ Chinese New Year meaningless
Yes.
gags strung together fest.
Yeah, it's, I mean, I guess there's a story,
There
sort of?
is an actually it's too much of a story. I wish there was less of a story. It's an overly convoluted story about trying to find some kind of, there's a drug and it's being used on people, famous people, to embarrass themselves, so he has to find out what's going on.
And then there's some kind of weird plot with a girl group. But it's mostly just an excuse to string a bunch of things together. And we're not going to tell you about the story because it's really not important at all. But again, you know, because it's Chinese New Year, you can just kind of let it wash over you.
Yeah, you got to unplug your brain and not go back. And like after the movie, I was like, wait, why didn't they do this and then do that?
And I tried to tell them that was the wrong thing, to just stop thinking about it.
Clearly it doesn't make sense if they didn't do that.
Yeah, but then they couldn't. It's not plausible. Doesn't matter.
Yeah.
So actually we were lucky. We got to go to the premiere of this film. And the reason I say we're lucky is because that way you get to watch it with a crowd that, well, didn't pay to see it. And, well, I don't know, because
they're predisposed to like it.
Yeah, kind of. Although, in general, I found that their reactions tend to be pretty genuine. Like I said, it's a Chinese New Year movie, and there's all kinds of people in it. The movie begins, we see Lo Hoi Pang, and I thought, oh, Lo Hoi Pang makes a cameo. That's got to make the movie good. But then the next person I saw was Jim Chim, and so I had to go back to zero. But everybody's in this. Sammy Chang, Miriam Yeung, Michael Hoy,
Ronald Chang.
Yeah, Ronald Chang, Cheng Chung-Gay, Bob Lam, definitely.
And Michael Wong's in it.
Oh yeah, Michael Wong, which actually does always make a movie better.
Everybody and anybody is basically.
Yeah, it's just
for like 5 seconds.
Yeah,
Sandra Ng.
Yeah, Sandra Ng shows up, but it's fun that way because that's kind of, like I said, part of the tradition. So it makes it much easier to watch. Actually, I also have to say a lot of the action, the stunt work, is pretty good, pretty impressive in the film because. Again, you'd think for a Chinese New Year movie, what difference does it make? But it really is one of the things that I could recommend watching the movie for.
Aside from the story, like there's nothing execution-wise it's particularly bad. I mean, it's pretty decent. Like, and the budget was not too bad as well.
No.
So like it has, I mean, it incredibly pulls off a Bond parody with gadgets and whatnot. So
yeah. And there's also a parody of A Better Tomorrow in there.
Yeah, there's actually a lot of...
I'm sure there's lots of other movies.
So one of the issues, I think I mentioned it during the movie, was like, if you don't watch Hong Kong TV shows, because both of the leads are basically TV actors who I think don't hardly do any movies.
Unless they're TVB movies.
Yeah, so there's all these, of the many string of, pointless scenes that go from gag to gag to gag, it's clear that tons of them are somehow riffing off of a TV TV drama or something that these people are famous in, because it's like there's one scene with, was it Ken Lo with a bunch of gangsters and stuff like that, which clearly is like referencing some show that none of us have watched. But you know, because Hong Kong, like TVB in Hong Kong, unlike in other markets, they actually put English subtitles on those dramas, but in Hong Kong they don't.
They don't.
So basically, if you don't speak Cantonese, and even if you do speak Cantonese, you basically don't watch TVB.
No.
That's one of the big. Whereas clearly, Mr. Dildo, Mr. Wong has watched.
That's Dr. Dildo to you.
Sorry, has watched thousands and thousands of Hong Kong movies.
Right, but I don't watch television.
Don't watch TV dramas, so a lot of those references.
Yeah. It sounds terrible to say that. There's not a whole lot of things in it that are really memorable. But again, that's what Chinese New Year movies are supposed to do. Some of the things, to me, that were memorable or interesting were sort of meta. Like, for example, we saw the film at the premiere at the Metroplex in Kowloon Bay.
Kowloon International Trade and
Exhibition
Center. Kai-Tek, IMAX.
Yes, and there's actually a scene that was filmed literally in the area, in the atrium where the premiere took place.
So it
was kind of weird to sit in a cinema watching a movie that was filmed in the same place that you are. And
that you just had the premiere.
Yeah, exactly, yeah. And I have actually had that experience before. 2006, I think, the Shopaholics. I actually watched it in Olympian City, and they filmed a piece of it in Olympian City. But it's just one of those interesting things that obviously watching a local film in a local cinema, that's what you would get. Really, the only other thing that I noticed that I feel like is worth mentioning is that at one point there's a tampon joke where somebody is fishing around for something and goes, oh, here it is, but then sort of realizes that it's not what he was looking for. It is, in fact, a used tampon. And that's not the funny part about it. What was strange to me is I got the impression the audience literally didn't know what it was, because there was no response whatsoever. It was
except
like,
for me. I was like, ew.
Yeah, exactly.
And he looked at me.
I probably laughed.
Like, okay, yeah, it was what I thought it was.
Yeah, because I wasn't sure.
And then no one else in the whole thing said anything.
Nobody said. Yeah, it was really weird. Like
maybe they knew, but they were too embarrassed to say.
No, because even then you would have heard them kind of cringing or ooh. There was no noise. In fact, I've rarely heard a cinema that quiet. Okay. Oh, one other thing I should mention: Dale Wong begins the movie with a speech impediment.
I don't know.
I was a little ambivalent. Like, why are you doing that? Because sometimes in Hong Kong they don't necessarily, how to say this, take the high road with some of the personal challenges people face. And so I was like, that's kind of offensive a little. I wasn't sure. I was kind of on the fence. But then Dale Wong says a couple of lines of dialogue, and you realize that he's basically just taking the piss out of Sean Connery's James Bond.
Why do Chinese girls taste different from all other girls?
It's that speech impediment. And once he says these couple of lines about 10 minutes into the movie, all of a sudden it makes sense. And from then on out, I laughed almost every time he did it. Because I didn't think it was being offensive. I realized it was just part of the whole recycling James Bond.
Is that why his English was so weird?
I don't think that was the only reason.
It has a lot of English dialogue that is
a little
half
strange.
Half and half, quality-wise.
A little strange.
I would want to add that I thought, so Charmaine Xie is ubiquitous in advertising in Hong Kong. She does all these like diet center, laser, whatever, clinic things that are all over the subways and in gossip magazines and stuff. And again, never having watched most TV channels, TV dramas, I had never actually seen her work. Someone that you see like 50 times a day and yet never actually seen in any kind of work, movie, TV show, whatever. And so she's actually in this movie for the first time I've actually seen her do something, and I thought she was actually pretty decent.
Yeah.
She's pretty competent, and, I guess she's done maybe some movies, whatever, a long time ago, but...
Yeah, she has done some movies, and a lot of the recent films that she's done have been those, like Line Walker, TVB adaptations.
Or 72 Prosperity.
Well, that was, again, a Chinese New Year movie. That one, and they made fun of the little kid in Murderer, so I wasn't mad at them for that. But, like for Line Walker, in my review, I talk about she's scene chewing, but I'm sure that's what she was directed to do, because that's kind of what TVB does. So... in this, she's actually pretty good. you know,
as like a leading comedic female,
right?
Who's basically, I mean, her character is pretty one-dimensional. She's basically just bitchy,
but everybody's
scorned woman. But that's
everybody's character is pretty one-dimensional.
If they get one dimension, they're lucky.
Oh, and actually, I don't know the actress's name. She was in Yuppie Fantasia 3. She's the one that she's got like arthritis so bad she can hardly move her hands. And at that time, I remember saying to people that she literally couldn't act her way out of a wet paper bag, which is perhaps a metaphor that doesn't translate well. I don't know. But I can't think of her name. I'll probably put it across the bottom or something when I finally work it out. She was actually pretty good as the bitchy girl band member.
What are you going to put on the bottom? Yeah, some sexual...
No, I'm going to put her actual name.
Oh, okay.
I'm just trying to be... No. Or I could just put up her picture. I'll put up her picture and her name. Okay, how about that? Okay. Yeah, she was actually pretty good. And the other...
Yeah, I want to see more of her.
Well, sure. Don't we all? That's what the internet is for.
Yeah.
The other girl...
Girl.
Yeah. She was okay. But again, like I said, everybody in this movie never really gets a chance to be anything more than okay.
Yeah.
How do I say this? More acting doesn't necessarily mean better acting, but in the context of a Chinese New Year comedy, more acting is still entertaining because that's what you're supposed to be doing.
Yeah.
Because it's Chinese New Year.
There's a scene where they kind of go into like the Matrix, this virtual reality thing, and it's just like, that thing drags so long. Yeah. It's pretty funny at points, but it's just like, you know...
It's not funny as long as it goes on.
Yeah, it's maybe 10 minutes too long. There's a lot of things that are like... Just to hint at the memories of making movies, it turns out that we know, because we were in the movie, that 6 months after it finished shooting, they went back and redid some stuff.
Right.
It's New Year's, don't worry about it, but it is like a real movie, not just...
Yeah.
You know, not the worst New Year's movie ever.
No.
One other thing, I talked to a director friend of mine who actually was asking me, because he saw that we went to the premiere, he was asking me how the movie was. I said, well, you know, kind of the story's a mess and all that. And he literally, he's like an industry person. He literally said, like, yeah, but it's a New Year's movie. So,
yeah.
You know, were people there? Were they laughing? That's all they want to do.
Yeah.
Right? And so he's like, they don't give a shit about plot holes or whatever. It's not just his view. It's like the industry knows it too.
So, and you know, on that level, it's a very good Chinese New Year movie. It's very successful on those terms. If I had to watch this movie in July, I don't think I would be as kind.
Yeah.
You know, especially not to the two white guys in the church in the last scene.
Yeah. The only other thing is probably also because of the repackaging or reshooting or whatever. There's nothing inherent in the plot up until the end when they say Happy New Year or whatever. Like, there's nothing that leads you to believe this would have to be a New Year movie when they're making it.
Other than the million cameos.
Yeah, so the cameos, you know, normally...
Yeah, it's not a traditional family story.
There's some fine family story or, you know, all's well ends well kind of type thing. This is trying to be a sort of action comedy. And then, oh, by the way, Happy New Year at the end.
Yeah.
So the cameos would be... So maybe that's what they did. They said, oh, let's push it back 6 months, go back and film a shitload of cameos.
That could be.
Redo the wedding scene.
Could very well be.
And then, boom, it's bomb-proof. So I'm curious to see how this one turns out.
It's very possible.
I'm sure it's like probably the most promoted New Year's movie.
Very promoted.
So, yeah. So
especially by that poster that recycles the original.
Yeah, the posters are actually extremely faithful remakes of Octopussy and For Your Eyes Only, I think.
Yeah.
Is the famous one with the butt, right?
Right.
So,
and you know that it's been photoshopped because there's some bikini line maintenance in that photograph that I have yet to see in real life.
I have not.
Did I say that or just think
I have not looked at it that closely.
You don't have to look at it closely. That's my whole point.
Okay. I have not. I focus on the Deo Wong and his action pose, not on the cooch. But that's...
What are you, homosexual, Taylor? Just kidding.
Anyway.
I can't believe I got a Platoon reference into a Chinese New Year movie review.
You homosexual, Taylor?
Oh, good Lord. Anything else you guys think of?
Go see this movie legally.
Okay, yeah.
Let's cut to the chase.
Yeah, I mean, what's the point in downloading a Chinese New Year movie anyway? It's not like you're going to wait a year. But if you want to see this, actually, yes, I would definitely encourage watching it in a cinema because, like Vegas to Macau 3 or a lot of Chinese New Year movies, if you watch it in the context of the audience, you kind of get an idea that even if you're not enjoying this film, if it's not working for you, it is working for most everyone around you. And that really can kind of help you understand a bit better. It's one of the reasons that I try to do reviews like that, because it makes it easier to understand if the film works for its intended audience, because I know that, you know, we're not it.
Yeah.
Anything else?
That's it.
Okay. So yeah, don't steal it. Go see it in the cinema. Bring your family. It'll be fun. I don't think there's anything really inappropriate for children, but that doesn't seem to bother people.
I wish it was more.
Don't tell me about it. Wouldn't that be great? A Category 3 Chinese New Year movie that would rule.
/ James Bond parody.
Something, yeah.
With lots of violence.
And breastises. So, should we talk about asking people for money?
Yeah, Patreon.
Patreon.
Like
you know what the logo looks like. I'm going to put it over our faces right now. Get your hand off my leg. Yeah, I have a Patreon page, and I would really appreciate it if you clicked on it and pledged some money, because YouTube doesn't give me any money, and I might have to actually pay to watch the new Barbara Wong movie, and that bothers me. So if you can help me avoid that, I would be very happy to not have to do that. Anything you wanted to add?
That's like and subscribe. And
yes.
Check out the
channel. Please.
Check out the channel.
Like the video. Subscribe to the channel. If you enjoyed this comment, leave us a review. Damn it! I don't believe I did that. If you enjoyed this review, please leave us a comment. I have to leave that in now, too.
I would
look like a moron.
I would also say,
if you didn't enjoy the review,
yeah, go fuck yourself.
You're probably Charmaine Shea.
No. No. If you enjoyed this so much that you want to see another 20 minutes, click over right now to our Memories of Making Movies.
That's right. Yes. Well, not right now, because I was going to release it later. Okay, right now. Well, it's the holidays.
When you're
feeling generous.
This, or wait by the computer till the next one comes out.
Yeah.
If it's not out yet.
Yeah, exactly. Don't move from the computer. Just play a game or something. I don't know. So yes, but seriously, thank you for watching, and we'll see you again shortly.
Happy New Year.
What? Oh, and yes, before we go.
Chinese. Oh, Gong Hei Fat Joy.
Yeah, San Tai Kin Hon.
Yeah.
All right. Happy Chinese New Year 2018, Year of the Dog. Bye.